Well, good day, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. I want to welcome all of you who are here on this call. I see we've got people from all over the place. Why don't you just type where you're from? That would be helpful, and make sure that you can hear me okay. All right, I see we have, let me just see a few people that are here and we'll get started. I see Gabby is from Vienna, Gloriana from Florida, Louisa from Vancouver, Elizabeth Birmingham, welcome. Austria, Catherine, Navin from Malaysia. Man, you're up late as well, early. It's early in the middle of the morning there. Mariana from Montreal, Claudette from Kingston. Who else do we have here? Let me just see all these people. Fantastic. Just go ahead and type. Make sure you can hear me okay. I've got an exciting event planned for you today that is going to help you bring in sales very quickly. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to type questions that you have in the chat window, and I will answer those after, for sure, by the end of the webcast. And I see people from Holland coming in. I'm seeing people from Halifax. Teresa, welcome. Atlanta. Yes, and some of you will be watching this via replay, and everybody who's here will be able to see this replay. I want to welcome all of you here today. So what I want to do is give you a step-by-step way for you to craft a webinar more than ever before. Now, especially during this time when there is this virus going around and people are at home. But anyway, now is a perfect opportunity for you to take the time to craft a webinar that's going to bring in sales. And if you're an author, if you're a coach, a consultant, and you want to generate revenue today, what I'm about to share with you is so timely, because never in the history of the world are more people in front of a computer. Never in the history of the world are people hurting so much, anxious, overwhelmed, freaked out, medicated, wondering what to do. And those of you who have some ideas on how to help people reduce their pain, now is a fabulous opportunity. Look, at people are looking for answers today, and they're not spending it on movies, TVs, going to Disneyland, going to restaurants, all these sort of things. So now is a fabulous time. Some of my companies and some of my divisions or profit centers are having the best week they've ever had, right in the middle of this coronavirus. It's now April 7th while I'm recording this, 2020. And it's still a fabulous opportunity for you. If you're looking for ways to make money, you are going to love this webcast. So here's what I'm going to do in this webcast. So let me just show you how I'm going to present this. I am going to have two presentations open at the same time. Okay, so let me show you this. So I'm going to have, and I want to make sure you can see my screen. Can everybody just type yes? You can see my screen, just to make sure that I can see that you're all looking at my screen. Frank, welcome from Holland. Okay, everybody can see my screen. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to give you both of these slideshows, okay? That's how nice I am. I'm going to give you both these these slideshows. I have them in PowerPoint and in Keynote. These are on the left-hand side. You're going to see here, this is my webinar, which is the most effective, the most powerful webinar that you could be doing right now. And I'll explain more of that in a minute. Well, let me explain it now. In these times, what I find, it is better for you to sell a high ticket item. When everybody's going down, I want to go up. If everybody's going left, I'm going right. So right now, everybody's lowering their prices. I'm jacking mine up. So I would sell a high price ticket item in this economy, or in any economy. You can sell a high price ticket item in these days. And what I'm about to share with you is what I'm doing for my company. One of my revenue streams is with a lady named Lucy. And if you have not seen this lady's webinar, you need to send me an email here. Let me just shrink this a little bit. You need to send me an email at cs@blackcardbooks and just put the word Lucy webinar in the headline, Lucy webinar, and I'll get you a link to watch the person that I learned a lot of this from. So just send me an email if you want to see an example of somebody crushing it. She had the best week she ever had last week, right in the midst of this coronavirus. So if you want to see an example of that, send me an email at CS Black Card Books and just ask for Lucy webinar and I'll get you the link. If you would like the slides for today's webinars, you send a separate email to cs@blackcardbooks webinar slides, and that will give you access to the folder where I'm going to upload all of these PowerPoints. So in this day and age, I'm suggesting instead of selling a low priced item, sell a high priced item, at least 2,000 or more. I mean, if you're brand new and you've never done it before, 1,000 may be okay, but definitely I'm suggesting 2,000 or more, especially for those of you who want to advertise to get traffic to your webinar on Facebook advertising. In order for it to pay for itself, it has to be $1,500 or more. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to give you the template and walk you through my template. Then I'm going to show you what I've done in my example. And if you want to see an example, a live example of me teaching this webinar, just go to this, go to this website here, tinyurl.com, webinar 8888, and that'll give you the actual me teaching this on a webinar. But if you want to get the slides, as I mentioned, just send an email to cs@blackcardbooks and you'll get a webinar slides. Just ask for webinar slides. We'll give you a folder which has both the keynote and the PowerPoint of both versions. So this is my template here, my blank template, which all you're going to have to do is fill in the blanks. You're going to love this. And on this side, you're going to see my corresponding slides. All right, let me just check the thing. I'm working with my happiness manager, blah, blah, blah. Okay. But since the COVID, I'm thinking delay. Okay, so Louisa, I'll talk to you later in the chat about your personal situation. Everybody's offering free webinars. Yes, and that's a clue. People are looking for answers and they're home, so why not give them? I mean, just think about this. The best webinar you've ever been on to has less than 200 or 300 people in it. But there's 3 billion people at home right now. There's lots of room. All right, so let's get at this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just walk you through this, and I want you to get a piece of paper, and because there's certain things you're going to have to work out before you fill this in with your own content. Now, what I suggest is not changing any of the design issues with this, because most people will be watching your webinars today on a cell phone. Because of that, my typical advice for PowerPoint or slide creation during a speech will not apply to this, because this is a webinar, and because of that, very minimal pictures, no text, no video, live video, just use audio, and just don't make it any more fancy than what you see here. Okay, so if you get a pen, I'm going to ask you on the top of the pen top of a piece of paper, I want you to write down at the top my answers. Okay, so just write in my answers. And then whenever you see something like this in orange here, you are going to write down what it says. So the first one is pain 1, pleasure 1. So you do pain 1, and then you do pleasure 1, and then you do time frame, and you do secret sauce. Okay, just write down those 4 things: pain 1, pleasure 1, time frame, and secret sauce. Now, I suggest if you're watching this, you're probably an author or of an upcoming book. And so for that reason, I say take the content out of your book. In fact, this can help you actually get your book written if you want. But anyway, so the first thing you're going to do is identify pain number one. Pain number one. What is it, the main thing that your TPOP, your target population, what is the main problem that they have? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you on this side my corresponding slide. And so you can take mine, you can use yours. So it says, how can you get out of pain one? So my pain one is to help people stop struggling by publishing a magnet book so you can have an endless amount of paying clients in under 12 months. Now, let me give you some other idea. One thing that Lucy said to me, and it makes a lot of sense, is in a webinar where your goal is to sell, the kiss of death is for you to try and teach. If you go into teaching mode, and this seems opposite to what everything I've learned, but she is crushing it. I mean, she, just for me, she brought in 150 grand just last week for me. I mean, she knows what she's talking about. And if you're joining this late, send me an email at cs@BlackHeartBooks and ask for Lucy webinar, and I'll get you a link to her webinar so you can see how my mentor does it, my coach does it. But so what you're going to do is figure out what is your pain one. So in the worksheet, you write down pain one, and then try and identify the number one pain your customers have. So in my case, a lot of you want to know how you can get a book to get high paying clients in under 12 months. So that's, by the way, specifics are critical in this situation. So in under 12 months. Okay, so you're going to follow this diagram. So how can you get out of pain one and get pleasure one? So in my case, the pain is stop struggling for clients. The pleasure is get a high amount, publish a book to get high paying customers. In the time frame is under 12 months. So you just follow it for yours. Now, in my case, I have a video. We're testing both using my intro video and not. So, but right now, I'm just going to leave this for you. Of course, I think whenever you can show your book cover, it's always great. That sets you up at the start of your webinar to let people know that you're an authority. So if you've got your book cover done, I would stick it in right after this thing. In fact, let me do this. Let me go here. Control C. I'm going to go like this, and I'm going to go here like this. And I'm going to put insert your book cover here. So you insert your book cover here. Now, the next slide says, so you're going to do this using a secret sauce. So the secret sauce is your book cover. It could be your framework. It could be your methodology. But you're gonna show people how to get away from pain, close to pleasure in a time frame using your secret sauce. Okay, so that's what I'm doing here. So I'm talking about my Publish a Book and Grow Rich framework. Now, the next one is, and this is what you're going to put on the worksheet, without having to, and then put something in there. Without having to, and what you're going to put there is without having to, number one. Without having to, and then insert there things that your customers or prospects don't want. So in my case, it's things that people don't want to do. So in my case, I'm going to show them how to make more money publishing a book in a certain time frame without having, and this is a pain point, this is a without statement. My customers, I'm going to show them how they can write a book without having any more qualifications. And then you go to, and you write this on your worksheet. without having to, number two, what's the second thing they don't want? Well, in my case, becoming an internet marketing expert. Yeah, that's good, Gabrielle. Yes. So that's wonderful. Okay, by the way, I will address, some of you have met with Lucy, and she did not call you. She canceled the call because she felt that she couldn't help you. Well, that's because she works only with a very few targeted people, and that's why I'm going to show you later. This method is so effective because you're only talking to people that you can help. So in her case, she's established who she can help and who she can't help. That's why her closing is so high. I'll explain more of that later. Okay, so you're going to come up with several of these without statements. I'm going to recommend 3 right now. So in my case, people can publish a book and grow rich without having to get any more qualifications, without having to become an internet marketing expert, and without going to networking events. So 3 without having 2 statements. The next one is how. So I come here. Now I added a few more without having to pretend to be somebody you're not. These are things that I know my customers hate, without having to find a traditional publisher or become sleazy as a salesperson. So how do you get all that? So you're going to say using the secret sauce. So you're in your worksheet, you're going to have your secret sauce. Like, what is it that you're going to be offering people? I'm recommending that you create a framework. And so in my case, I've got a framework called the Publish a Book and Grow Rich framework. So you can call it your book title framework, or your the diet yo-yo framework, how to become rich framework, whatever it is that's based on your title. And then I just talk about the 3 steps. So there's going to be 3 steps in my secret sauce. You may have more, but I'm not going to be teaching those. I'm just going to tell them that I have a framework, and this framework has 3 steps and has more 3 phases and 9 steps. I'll explain more of that later. And if you go to my webinar, you will be able to see example how I do it. So right after I tell them that I have a secret sauce, that I have a solution, then I want to talk about success stories. So here's where you're going to have to use a testimonial. Now, if you don't have a testimonial, help somebody for free in order to get the testimonial. And if you don't have one now, remember, done today is better than perfect never. So if you don't have one, don't worry about it. So in my case, I talk about Ann Belove, one of my superstar partners. I show a video of her where she gives me a short 15-second video. And so a testimonial right at the start that proves that your system works. And then you want to get people to stay for the whole webinar. And so if you come to that place where you've given a testimonial, you said, I know your pain. I've got a solution. It has 3 steps. It's a framework. I'm going to give you that. And here's proof that it works. Then you say, if you stay until the end, I'm going to give you a bonus. Now, everybody needs to have some bonus that you give people by the end of the webinar. And so in my case over here, I give the slides of the webinar, and I give them a framework. And I'll show you that framework in a minute, but I give them the actual framework. So, because you want to get people to stay until the end of your webinar. Okay, so then what I do is I explain the bonus. So then you just fill in the blank. Remember earlier we said pain 1? So you're going to retype pain 1 here. In my example, 1 strategy to help you publish your book, get more clients, speaking engagement, or increase your income. See, that's what my customers, that's their pain. So, and then you're going to create some even if statements. Even if 1, 2, and 3. So just on your worksheet there, just put even if 1, even if 2, even if 3. And that's what you want to do, is let people know that this applies to them, even if, in my case, you're not a polished writer, even if you're shy, even if you're unknown in your marketplace. So these 3 even if statements lets them know that they should stay tuned, because what you're going to do is, you know, let's say you're doing weight loss. Even if you have never lost more than 10 pounds, even if you hate exercise, even if you don't have a gym membership. So it's the even if statements. I put a picture because I'm talking about Facebook and so on. So I just did a couple of pictures there. And then what I do is I want to start positioning myself different than everybody else in the marketplace. And so I said something like, let me go here and see if I've got it. No, I don't have it there. So just be careful about believing all the lies out there. I mean, people today are going to tell you, you don't need a book. It's hard to get published. You know, what's the lies that your prospects have been buying into? Like, now's not a time to buy. Now's not a time to write a book. The economy's, you know, whatever the lies that they may be hearing. And so you're going to then ask yourself, or you say here in the template, I will explain why everything you've been told to do to make it work, makes it worse, not better. So how long have you been thinking about writing a book, in my case? So what stops people? Why everything you've been told is not working today? Why nothing you're doing is working? And have you ever been lying to yourself, like you're going to do your book later? And so what you're doing is just follow the blanks. What you see, you gotta get, and this is, it's hard for some of you, you gotta get to the customer's pain, because you're going to offer a solution in the middle at the end of this, and it's not an instant purchase. This particular system is going to push people to book an appointment with you, and you're going to get them to fill out a questionnaire, and then you're going to do a one-on-one sales call with them. That's the most effective today to sell a high ticket item thing. I mean, we brought in, I think, $150,000 last week, just revenue created just from that one system. So it's the best way right now. And so you got to get to people's pain. And so what we're doing now, we're just identifying pain and saying you got solutions. Okay, so then I tell them, so before we get into this, this is where you're going to start talking about yourself a little bit. Now, I know everybody wants to talk about themselves and how great you are, but people don't care about you. They care about themselves and their problems. So this has to be brief. So of course, you've got to sell yourself. I'm okay with that. But don't think that that's very important to them. It's not, but you do have to establish your authority. And so in my case, I have a couple of little slides. These are just pictures, and it takes, if you watch my webinar, and if you joined us late, send an email to, sorry, let me just encourage you to go to tinyurl.com webinar 8888 to see a sample of my webinar. So here so I got a picture with Tony. Everybody knows Tony. I talk about my story. I say that I had to find a way. And then again, I had to find a way to, and then remember we talked about in the worksheet, pleasure 1. What is the pleasure? So I had to find a way to make over $10,000 a month without having to. And then what I'm going to do is insert those without having to statements. So before you do any slides, fill out that worksheet that says without having to number 1, without having to number 2. So in my case, without having to, and then I put them here, without having to learn internet marketing techniques, get more qualified, pretend you're somebody you're not, find a publisher, spend more of your own money. I'll repeat the URL. Let me just copy it. I'll put it in the chat window because somebody just asked for it. Let me just put this in here. I'm putting it in the chat window now. and I'm sending that to everybody. If you want to see an example of my webinar, the one I'm teaching on the left here, if you check in the chat window, it's there now. So I'm going to go back and talk about here. These are my without statements. And in my case, I give a few examples. So this, she says here, social proof that you've helped people. Now, if you don't have any, don't worry about it. But if you get some, if you have to give away some courses, give it or help people for free. So in my case, I share some examples and I tell them that they can do this. Now, she's saying right after that, start with more testimonials. So give another success story. If you don't have one, don't worry about it. I talk about grace. And notice, by the way, I'm following her example exactly. I don't change anything. And so I think the tendency, you want to make it pretty, you want just do exactly what we're talking about here. I did not change, even though I'm one of the world's best at PowerPoint and slide making, as you know. I went against my natural inclination and followed my mentor's system. And I suggest you do the same. All right. So then we say, listen, if you want that kind of results, you can do it the hard way or you can do it the easy way. And so I'm telling you, I'm going to give you these slides. If you want these slides, just send an email to CS@BlackCardBooks, ask for webinar slides. And then all you got to do here is fill in the blanks. Okay. So now hard way, what you want to do under hard way is come up with various myths. So on your worksheet, you're going to have myth 1, myth 2, myth 3, myth 4. So what do people believe that they shouldn't believe about your topic? So in my case, one myth is people thinking they don't need a book. And so you can, in your case, I don't know what you think people are some myths around. You know, one myth if you're in the weight loss thing that you have to count calories. One myth if you're looking to, if you're in the financial world. One myth is that people have to make 6-7 figure, have to make over 150,000 to become wealthy. That they have to have a financial planner, that they have to buy mutual funds. You know, what is the myth? And come up with 3 or 4 of them. Now, as much as possible, if you can just show a picture of somebody struggling. So if you're talking about somebody, you know, one of the myths is that they have to suffer endlessly with depression. That's a myth. Then you could put a picture of somebody being very depressed in this situation. So the picture backs up the myth. So another one. So you keep coming up. So the next one is reason number 1. So reason 1, this is in your worksheet, reason 1 why myth 1 isn't true. Well, in my case, people thinking they don't need a book. Well, the myth is that they don't think they need a book, but the reality is you're perceived to be like everybody else. And then you go to myth, reason, this is on the worksheet, reason number 2. Self-help industry is oversaturated. In reality, you won't be able to sell high ticket items. So you just come up with reason 3 and 4 reasons why the myth is not true. So you're going to have a myth and you're going to have 4 reasons why the myth is, how you're going to dispel the myth. Okay, but with a book, your sales, like look at here, the picture. Because that's what she's asking me here, right? Social proof of a picture of you or someone struggling with number 1, with myth 1. So with a book, your sales drastic. So I put a picture. She told me to put a picture. I put a picture of somebody needing help. Hard way number 2. So you're gonna repeat that, the same procedure over and over again. So another category is called common advice makes worse. So one of the common advice is that people say is that you're not good enough. So what's some common advice? You put this on the worksheet and then you insert this into the slides. In my case, thinking you're not good enough. So again, you just follow the template, social proof of somebody And then reason 1, 2, and 3 why common advice is wrong. So you're not trying to win a Pulitzer Prize. In my case, you're not competing with all the other best-selling authors. And then you use this statement. It is the worst thing you could do with your time and money to, and then put what's the pleasure? To achieve weight loss, to become financially free. In my case, you see here, my pleasure one is this, right? Is the worst thing you could do with your time and money, because this is my pleasure here. My pleasure point 1. My customers want this pleasure, and they want to avoid this pain. Just do the same thing. Man, I'm making it so easy for you. Are you liking this? If you're liking this, put yes in the chat. Make sure you're still here. And just like, I'm not in front of people, and it's been over a month now. No one's actually given me lots of applause. And so if you want to give me some love here, I mean, this would be the time. All right. So let's keep going. Oh, I got to keep going. I got so much more to give you. Okay. So then you're going to follow the template over and over again. So again, you're going to, so remember, so you're just going to fill in the blank. This common advice type, and then like this is a common advice that people hear. You can't make money as a writer. So that's a common advice that people hear. Has the opposite effect on your pain 1, 2, and 3. So just fill that in on a slide, but don't change anything. And then this one says, before you know it, pain 1, 2, or 3 has gotten even worse. You see what I'm doing here is I'm agitating their pain. So if you use a book to find clients, I'm saying in my slides, I don't, and I think it's this next statement. So you do this, the same thing, several different ways, saying the same thing. And then you got to say this, and this is critical. So your ideal client is something on your worksheet that you should have done for your book. Who is your ideal target population? And put them in there. Corey, if you send an email to CS@Black Card Books, Corey's asking where you find the templates. You need to send us an email at CS@Black Card Books and ask for the webinar template. And I'll give you the folder where there's PowerPoint and keynotes, both for this, the template on this side, and my example over here. Okay. So I say, I don't know a single, and then you put your TPOP. So I don't know a single author, coach, entrepreneur, or speaker. So who has achieved pleasure 1? There's my pleasure. Who has consistently brought in 10 to 20,000 a month, who didn't commit to a proper ongoing solution. Okay, so you're telling them, look at, you're nuts if you think you're going to fix this. Now look at, we haven't taught them how to do it. We're just identifying their pain and telling them how to do it. So you go and you just follow the template over and over again. Thousands of, I put that in. They feel there are too many books on this subject. They think their book has to be perfect. And 99% of them make completely wrong choices to fix their pain. So you just, in my case, 99% to fix their publishing goal to get more clients, it doesn't make any sense. So you go now, what's the 4th way? So you just keep, you're getting them to identify that if they don't use your solution, and you're going to tell them a solution in a minute, if they don't get your solution, they're going to stay in pain. All right. I'll just put some, yeah. So again, I just, you follow her template. So again, and then you repeat myth number 2. Like in my case, I'll just put up some more videos and set up a fancy funnel. Yeah, that'll work. And then I put a funny picture. Really? That's to replace this one. Okay, so you follow the same sort of format. You do the same thing for myth number 3. In my case, this is myth number 3, thinking you don't need a book to get more clients in a massively saturated market. So I'm just telling people, you know, this is myths that people buy into with your things, with your target population. You understand what pain your book is going to help them alleviate and what your solution is going to be, because that's what you're offering here. You're not selling anything on this webcast. The only thing you're doing in this webinar is you're going to help them identify their pain. You're going to say you've got a solution. They can get that solution if they take action. And the action you want them to take, and we'll talk about this at the end, is to book a call with you. And before you book that call, they're going to fill out a questionnaire. And if that questionnaire is not filled out properly, what I mean by that is if the questionnaire will help indicate whether they are a right fit for you or not. And we'll talk more about that on another session. So again, you just keep hammering them in terms of what you have done, and then you say, you know, in my case here, I'll just wait until I am better qualified and find a publisher. And what you're doing there is you're identifying how crazy it is that people are using these things. And then you say, I developed this one method that will fix virtually every problem. I developed one method allowing you to publish your book and get what it is you want. Now, in my case, I have an actual framework. And so I recommend that you work this out. This could be your book titles, your chapter titles. What are the 9 steps that people have to take to accomplish, to go from where they are to where they want to be? So you tell them you've got a solution, all right? And they're going to feel great about that. And then that allowed me to, and then insert what you wrote in the worksheet as your pleasure without having to. So that allowed me to bring in over $200 million, help others transform, make millions per year. My book literally saved somebody's life without having to take forever. These are some without statements, without having to, and I put them in there, without having to take forever. While other people are out there trying to build a speaking coach without a book, trying to make money the wrong way, like selling books. You see, so you're talking about pleasure without having to put in pleasure 2, 3, 4. So if you've done these in advance in your worksheet, just insert them in here exactly the way you see this. So while other people are out there, and then there are 3 of the monetary non-monetary reasons for fixing your pain. So doing stuff they hate. In my case, I didn't even need to know I did that. Didn't need to worry about having to rely on a publisher. I got published and grew rich. So you're talking, I didn't even need to, and then without having to, you're just adding you're filling in the blanks here. Just fill in the blanks. Once you've written this without having to, just rewrite it again right here. While everyone was having to fix their English or having to find a traditional publisher, you see here, you will never struggle with pain again. So you will never struggle with, in my case, getting your book done. That's your pain, right? If you implement, and in my case, it's my solution, my framework. Okay, so, but you're not teaching it. You're just saying you've got a framework. And that's where you put a picture, or you just put your secret sauce. So you can, if you have a book, you say it's the Millionaire Mindset Method. If you have a book called The Art of Relationships, so you're going to have the Art of Relationship system or program or whatever. But you're not selling it. You're just saying you've got something. So, okay, Mohammed's saying my book is all about wealth creation, but I'm not wealthy. How can I mention I earn 100,000 euro? You can't. If you haven't done it, you can't say that. But what you can say is you're going to reveal exactly how other people have done it. So you're not saying you've done it. You're saying I'm going to show you the exact same system that people are using around the world to create this. So you're becoming a reporter. All right. So you're going to, here's your secret sauce. Now you're going to give some examples. I use Andrew. Now you say here, you can, again, this is in your worksheet, tried things 1, 2, and 3. So tried things are things like you may have tried hiring a coach. You may have tried 50 diets. You may have tried investing in the stock market and lost 10,000. You know, so you're going to put tried things. What are some things on your worksheet? What are some things that your customers or prospects have tried and failed at? So you can have tried finding clients the traditional way, or tried writing all the publishing courses, even started your book 100 times, and still not get the clients you want. So I'm just repeating what she says here. Well, I'm not going to take, you basically get the concept now. So what I'm doing is I'm following this exactly the way she said. You'll never get to pleasure, pain. So I'm just suggesting you fill in the blanks, and it walks people through. So then you ask a question. Do you want to spend the most amount of time and money and energy, or do you want to have the least amount with the biggest progress? So you're just, you follow the steps. Again, if you've got testimonials, put them in there. If you don't worry about it. Okay, so then again, follow the path perfectly, use pictures sparingly. And let's now start talking about, let's start talking now. If we go down, if you haven't found any, I haven't found anything that works yet through myth 1, so I'll keep relying on myth. So you're basically agitating their pain. You're saying, I know some of you feel that you haven't achieved anything, thinking that you don't need a book. And so you're going to keep doing the same thing you've always done, which is not having a book. That doesn't make any sense. So I haven't found anything that works through my myth, like you don't need a book, so I'll keep relying on that myth. Well, that's crazy. And so again, you can just follow along what she says. Now, what's important here is the length and time. So you need to have some idea of metrics. How long is it going to take for people to start getting a result from you? And I would put that in here. Okay, so let me just keep going. I want to get now to the close because I got to end this. And let me show you what I'm going to do. Again, so now what you want to do, so what you want to do here in the last 30 days, so let me go to that. So so what you want to do is, again, you're agitating and getting them to see if they don't take your advice, they're going to have more pain. So you say in the last 30 days that you were overweight, feeling sluggish, not feeling great about your body. In the last 30 days, if you've spent 25 days out of that doing it, and then you just say, but you should be living every day in a fit body. You should have your book done. And the difference, again, so you go here and you just follow the thing. The difference is you should be living your pleasure, and then just follow the examples. Now, what we're going through now is starting to talk about quantitative a little bit, trying to get them to see how much money and time and pain that they have wasted by not using your solution. All because you didn't have the right method to follow, because that's what you're selling at the end of the day. You're going to give people a method to solve that pain, and they're going to get that by filling out a questionnaire, telling you about their life, and then if they qualify, if you think you can help them, then you're going to have a one-on-one strategy call with them. And you didn't find the money. Again, you're going to follow this. You're going to follow this to a T, find the money. And then you go, now you're starting to talk about what kind of people you want to work with. So people who are serious, who want these things, do whatever it takes to find the money to get started. So what you're doing now is you're starting to say to them, listen, this is going to cost you money. And so you got to be willing to invest. And smart people, people who really make things happen, know how to do whatever it takes. Just think how much money and time have you wasted? and then put some examples. All right. How frustrated are you with the overwhelm, lack of confidence? I mean, have you wasted 10,000, 1,000, 2,000? How much money? And then just follow through this perfectly. Okay, so now let's get to the solution. So now you're telling them you've got a solution, and that you can help them avoid their pain and get this pleasure. And now you're going to get them to go to their solution. So now you're just going to say, but I've got an answer. And okay, that answer you can get without having to, and remember, you're going to insert the what without having to statements in here. So in my case, without having to spend forever with boring, time-consuming, ineffective marketing techniques like posting every 3 minutes, without having to go to networking meeting, cold calling, without having to get any more qualification, pretend somebody you're not. These are all the without statements. Just put a whole bunch of them in there. So these are all statements. These are all without statements. And then I insert the myth. Myth 1, 2, 3. Remember the myths I talked about? Myth number 1 is you don't need to have a book if you're a coach. Myth number 2, you don't have to you don't have what it takes to be a good writer. Myth number 3, you can't make money at this. So these are myths. And if you just think that that's just going to go away, man, bang your head here, because it's not going to go away. You need to have somebody's help. If you could have done it yourself, you would have done it yourself. So 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 now you're starting to remove obstacles from them. So you're going to say, what if it doesn't work? The solution you're offering. Well, the reality is what you're doing now isn't working. So what's the answer? The answer is the right method. So you keep going here, and then, so again, you want to let them know that your solution is different. So without having to, and then put in without having to statement 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I just repeat again what this is not. This is not cold calling. This is not becoming an internet marketing expert. It's not about getting any more qualifications or pretending some. See, I'm repeating what this is not. So I'm saying to them, this is not. I mean, you may have tried 1,000 diets, but my solution is not this. Is not this. Is not this. Is not eating lettuce. It's not joining the gym. It's not exercising 3 times. It's not becoming a vegetarian. It's not. See, people then think, oh man, I want that solution. All right, so you keep going here, and then you go to my bold prediction. So make some bold prediction. 99% of will be most dreaded consequence. So the most dreaded consequence, that's something else on your worksheet. Ask yourself, what's the most dreaded? So if they're going to lose weight, if let's say your weight loss, what's the most dreaded thing? That they have a heart attack and die. So what is your, in your case, what's the most dreaded consequence that they have if they don't find solutions? In my case, not making enough money, so they have to go back to their job and then feel like a failure. It just kills people. So it's okay to do that. So here's how we can fix all this. So what you do is you provide them with an opportunity to fix all of this, and you show them an opportunity that you're going to give them. And so what you're telling them, and this is the most important thing, I'd like to give you the opportunity to leverage what I've learned through the process of investing, wasting money, not working, of having to, and then you're just going to follow the thing of having done everything the wrong way, the hard way, and of personally, and if you don't have this result yet, you can say watching other people experience pleasure, number 1, earning millions, and having helped a number of people. Then put down a number. And if it's small, then, or if it doesn't apply, don't put that slide in there. So here's the call to action, folks. So having helped a number of people do the same, before your most dreaded consequence happens to you, before you suffer any longer with like having to contemplate quitting your job, I would like to set up a completely free strategy call. Okay, how to get your pleasure. point number one, using your sauce. So again, in my case, how to gain expert status, publish a book and grow rich, make 10 to 30,000 or more a month using my secret. And that's a personal coaching call. Now, the next part is critical again. So you're going to tell them you're going to do this call. Now you got to tell them what this call is. So you're going to, first of all, you're going to tell them they're going to leave this call where you're going to show them exactly how they can get pleasure number one. I will outline for you a blueprint, how to make tens, and what you're doing is you're just following this, you're following this thing. So you tell them that this is not a sales pitch. And if you want my example of this, go to tinyurl.com/webinar 8888. And that will give you a video or my actual webinar where I teach this, okay? So you tell them it's not a sales pitch. I'm going to offer you a strategy call. It's not a sales pitch. I'm going to try and actually help you on this 30 minutes or 90 minutes call, 45-minute call. You got to dispel their apprehension. So the high pressure, this is not high pressure at all, folks. I mean, I'm going to tell you some ideas on where you can go with this. I'm going to see if it makes sense for you and I to work together. And if it makes sense for us to work together, you'll work together. And if not, then we'll end the call as friends. And then take it away from them. I only bring on a few clients every month. And so I want to offer you this call. You're going to have to act fast because I only have a certain number of slots. I mean, really think about it. What's the worst thing that can happen? The worst thing that can happen is that you keep doing. Okay, so Gloriana Hannah will answer your question. So you say, what's the worst thing that can happen? Well, the worst thing that can happen is, and then you write down, the worst thing that can happen is, you've learned a few things. You've seen a method that's worked for other people. And if it doesn't make sense for us to work together, you keep doing what you're doing now. But what's the best thing that could happen? And then that's where you reiterate your bonus. Again, in my case, I'm giving away a video. I'm giving away some slides. The best thing that can happen is that you love the customized plan created for you and you become a client of mine. That'd be a fabulous outcome. But and then this is important here. And I did this. I broke it down onto several slides. And you got to say it like this. Now, what I'm about to say is critical. Taking this call is the single most important thing you could do right now, and then insert the most important thing you could do right now. If you are serious, you're going to make that call. And then on another webcast that we do, I'll show you the system we use to make all this stuff mechanically work. But we have a button that'll come up at a certain time, which gives the link for them to click on the link. Failing that, just type it out. That's not the right link. Let me just go and see. This is maybe the old link. So I think I've got to change this now. Let me just see what this looks like. Give me a second. Yeah, I think it's going to take us to the wrong link. Oh no, that's the right link. Okay, so so what you're going to do now is you're going to send people now to your Calendly. You're going to send them to some system. We use Schedule Once, where they could literally book an appointment. So that's what happens here. So when people click on that link, call 888 tinyurl.com/call88, then they come and pick a time when that's available for our team to meet with them. And so that then will say to them, because they'll pick which time they want. So tomorrow, there's 2 slots available for us, right? So you can send them to this. Calendly is what lots of people use. We use Schedule Once. Okay, so that's all I'm doing. So at this stage of the game, ostensibly, the call is over. what I did is, because I know some people, I'm not taking questions. Oh yes, I am taking questions throughout the webcast. I'm really trying to give people, at this stage, I'm pushing now one thing and one thing only, and that is book a call. If you want this call, I'm going to give you a solution. You got to book a call. But while people are thinking about it, I've added more testimonial things. Now you can see the URL is on every page. So I'm going to give, you know, a book helped Ro do this. It helped Jesse do this. It helped Layla do this. And so I'm just going through, my solution does this, you know, so you could just, if you have a bunch of these, I just kept talking and talking and talking over and over again, because I just wanted to let, I mean, if they're at this stage, they're on the call for about 53 minutes. And if they're still interested, I'm still going to get them, but I'm always pushing this at the end of every slide. Going, like, why are you waiting? Just go and book a call. What's the worst thing that can happen? Okay, so that's the system that we use. I recommend now, if you want to get these PowerPoints, just send an email, and I'll just give you the links again. Give me the links. So you go here to the next slide. You're going to send an email to CS at Black Card Books. If you want to get the slides, this slide, which is a blank template, you can get it in PowerPoint and Keynote. And if you want the slides for mine, you can send an email to CS at Black Card Books webinar slides. Just put that in the subject line. We'll send you the link to the folder where those 4 things will be. It's going to take me a day or two to get that, up, but that's on its way. If you want to see an example of this in action, my suggestion is that you send an email to CS at Black Card Books and ask for my mentor's system, or her example, which is Lucy. So just say Lucy webinar in the subject line, and we'll give you the link for Lucy's webinar. You could see how she does it, and she is crushing it. If you want to see me do this one, then you're going to go to this URL, tinyurl.com webinar 8888. Well, I hope this has been helpful for you folks. Again, now, yes, you show them the slides, Catherine. And if you go to my samples, you'll see what I'm talking about. But yes, I only show the slides. I do not show video during my webinar. I don't show video through my webinar because it doesn't come over very well on a cell phone. And 90% of the people who are going to watch your webinar are going to do it from a phone. That's why the slides are very basic, very little text. I hope this has been helpful to you. It's now exactly 1 hour, and I want to thank you for being on this call. And I'm getting lots of applause. Woohoo! Hey, don't believe the myth that you can't make money during these times. It's the best of times for those of us who help people who are taking our businesses online. And that's what I suggest to you. Take your business online, help people. They need help more than ever. And I thank you so much for watching. God bless you, everyone. Take care.